if you know there's an injustice going on, it's, you're kind of just going like this as well. There's people that are participating in this. And how do you think we can live in a better society if we know something's going on and we're not speaking out against it?
Hello beautiful beings, it's Rebecca, the Vegan Pixie Warrior, and welcome to my channel. If you've not been here before and you're new here, then my channel is all about uplifting other animal rights activists and giving you new ways you can become an advocate for the animals. If you have been here before and you're not subscribed yet, hit the button. What you're playing at? Come on, show the girls some love. Today I'm going to be sharing with you another interview I did with David, the 40-year-old vegan. This time we're talking about his advocacy, what sort of activism he does, and why he thinks it's important to become an animal rights activist. So hopefully by the end of it, you'll be inspired to do some of the things that he's mentioned, which are really simple ways you can advocate for the animals, or reach out to him and get in contact. So without further ado, I'm really excited to share this interview. I've really enjoyed speaking to David. Here he is. So I want to welcome David back to my channel, the 40-year-old vegan. So thank you again for coming back. How are you doing today?
Hey, Rebecca, thank you so much for having me on. Once again, I'm doing really well. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you again too. So if you haven't met David before, we did do an interview, which probably went out a couple of weeks ago, about the Liberation Pledge. And this time we're talking about activism. So I'll pop a link here. I'm also going to pop a link to Doreen's video, the vegan poet, that she did an interview with you about why you're vegan, which was very detailed, and it's just brilliant interview. All I'm going to say is that you used to work in a slaughterhouse. Hopefully that will tempt people over to go and watch Doreen's video and share that everywhere for people to see. So I'm not going to ask my usual question, because I did that in the Liberation Pledge, is why you're vegan. So we're going to leave that one out. I want to know though, how long between becoming vegan did it take you to become an animal rights activist?
Yeah, that's a great starting question, putting me on the hot seat already. Yes. So I honestly wish I was one of those vegans that, saw what happened and went overnight. Obviously, I worked in the slaughterhouse industry as a federal inspector for many years. So it took me some time to realize that, there is this thing called vegan and being vegan. And I didn't understand the concepts. I actually, in fact, have a t-shirt that says plant-based, and it had vegan on the inside, and I could flip them around. And so I was thinking, I always reflect back on that. Like, I think somehow subconsciously, like, I had this vegan desire to be vegan, to be an advocate, but I just didn't know because of the stereotypes that were represented. So yeah, it took me some time. So I was vegetarian for a short time, vegan, and then after being around some vegans who said, we shouldn't be telling people what to do, I thought, well, I have this powerful story. And I think, if people hear that, a former federal inspector who worked in a slaughterhouse, who, consumed those beings, if he can change, then everybody in the world can change. Like, quite literally, everybody in the world can change. How could somebody who's vested interest, who's a welfare inspector, go from that understanding and finding out they could be vegan and change, then how could not other people change? So it was a slow progression. I watched this speech, I think I mentioned it maybe the last time we talked, of Amy Serrano in Canada here. And it's just, we have unjust laws. We don't afford animals the rights of other animals, like, say, domesticated animals or the human animal. And so why aren't we doing that when we live in a society that's plentiful and the vast majority can eat whole foods, plant-based? So it took me a few years to realize that. So I've been vegan for 7.5 years now. I would say it took me from 2000, I can't remember if it's 13 or 14, up until about 2017. I think that's when I started to bear witness. And then There was a conference in 2019 that I saw that video. I was talking about Amy Serrano, and that
Yeah.
lit a fire under me, and I haven't stopped since. So yeah,
There's
that's the long and short of it.
similar sort of story to me. I watched a video. It was James Aspey was at a Meet the Victims event in Australia, and there was an activist there being interviewed by the news, and her name's Mippy Valentine, and she said that, you know, that if we had 50% of vegans were active, we'd have a vegan world tomorrow. And it just resonated with me, and she was just, again, like you said, a lit a fire in my belly, and I just went, right, I need to do something. But it took me a year to build up. But I don't know many vegans that went active like overnight. Like Jareen is an example of one. She went active overnight. She'd only been vegan a couple of months, I think, before she became active. And then my friend Mark, who I work with on doing street activism, he went vegan and went to his first vigil, I think 2 weeks later or something stupid like that. But there's not many. It's better late than never, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, so that shows my transition from, and I had some like concerns about, maybe even my safety with how people would react and me calling out this industry, especially, I know inspectors that still work there, employees that still work there. And so I didn't know how they would react. Now I've had a mixed bag, but that's fine. So it's definitely something that it can be done. That's the whole point. And if I have to deal with that sort of thing, and those sort of hangups, I don't see how it could be that difficult for others. I can empathize with others, but
Yeah.
we have a lot of what I call uh, potluck vegans that are around, and not to say that I don't appreciate them, because they're not part of that. But at the end of the day, a lot of them have this knowledge, this tap wealth of knowledge that they see. And no matter how uncomfortable it is, like it's much more uncomfortable for those beings that are trapped inside of these sheds. They want to call them barns, but they're larger sheds, and these confinement vehicles and all of this stuff. So
Agreed. I mean, it's one of the things. My husband was like, going back to what you said about being worried about getting into trouble. My husband, when I first went to my first cube, he was worried, and he got his vegan friend to talk to me about it because he was worried about that. But also, I think people have this idea of activism, and they think, like your T-shirt, the amazing group Meet the Victims, who I 100% support. I think it's fantastic. Um, but they think Meet the Victims, or they think of Cuba Truth. They don't think of all of the different ways there are to be active. And I hope that with your background, what you've done, and overcoming, that fear of what your ex-colleagues would say, I hope it will inspire someone else to go out there and get active. And that's one of the main reasons I invited you on, because I know that there are ex-slaughterhouse workers out there that, and ex-farmers that have gone vegan. I've heard about them on the grapevine. They exist. Well, you're proof. They exist.
yeah.
So I'm hoping that one of them's watching and maybe overcomes that fears and realizes what you said. The animals, what they're going through is way worse than us. I mean, it's, again, I think I said it before, my anxiety, one thing that stops me from like going out to advocate is my anxiety. And I just tell myself, Rebecca, you're not doing it for you. You're doing it for the animals. And I'm out on the streets and talking to strangers, which is
Yeah,
great.
Rebecca, you hit so many points there. It's even like I still get uncomfortable every once in a while, but even before this interview, for example, like I was stretching, I was doing the Superman stretch, and then I just think in my head, like, who am I representing here, and what are they going through, and how would I like to be represented if I was in their position? And so, like you were saying, there's so many forms of activism that are around. It's unbelievable. And your channel is beautiful that way, because you have all those bite-sized vegan little points of activism, and I think I've done almost every single one of them. And it's great to show, because people, like you were saying, have this idea of like, okay, you have to go yell in somebody's face or something, because that's what the media portrays, right? That's what they
Yeah.
show. They think that, you know, we're not relatable. But as a even as a slaughterhouse inspector, someone who worked in the industry, this community has embraced me beyond belief. I never thought in a million years I'd find my community of people. And with all these hangups and all these preconceived worries and notions, I don't know. I would have been here a lot sooner had I just got rid of my fears, you know.
Yeah.
And it's something as simple as, like, you know, getting out to bear witness, or well, I'm not saying it's simple, but it's a life-changing moment, or going to a sanctuary, or doing a sticker, doing a post, having a conversation. It's all these things, but it's a lot easier than what people might think that it is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree. Like, there's I got some posts recently, and from a fellow activist of mine up north. She's actually a We the Free organizer, and she put vegan stickers and leaflets all over it. And I was like, brilliant! I love that one. It's such a simple form of activism, but the amount of people that will see that. And I'm filming. I'm glad you like the bite size series. I've got two more ideas inspired by two friends of mine that I'm going to film after this, because I've got everything set up. So I'm just going to go straight in and film those. And they're
That's
really
awesome.
good. I can't wait for those to come out, because they definitely two that I want to try at some point soon. They're really good ideas and really simple. Was the first activism you did, was that a vigil?
Yeah, so the first thing that I started to do was vigils. I think after I watched that Amy Serrano speech, I felt that I needed to get out on the streets. So I started watching videos like Mr. Joey Carbstrong and Earthling Ed and Humane Hancock, and these outreach videos that I said, look, like, this is a pretty simple argument. And even in my head, I thought, okay, you can be vegan or you cannot be vegan, and it's like that simple to be vegan. So the logic's there. And so I felt like I was a bit of an advocate, like I was sort of posting, but it didn't really wasn't firm until I went to a Cube of Truth one night here in Waterloo, and it was at Rib Fest, and it was right in front of the doors, right like where people are paying to get in, and we had
What's Rickfest?
Rib Fest.
Ribfest. Oh,
So
that makes more
we're
sense.
yeah, we're there. Yeah, with the body parts of pigs and such. So it's like a popular event here. It's like huge. It's all over North America. I don't know where else it is, but they give out awards for the best whatever. And so it's really popular. And it was a great spot. And that's where I had met Jen and Kirsten, and that's where I believe like it all started for me. I walked up, I didn't go into the cube like I was supposed to, and all of a sudden I'm in a conversation with seven people or six people at one time, and I'm like, holy. But I'm standing firm because of the victims. And so yeah, that's kind of like how it really started for me to get speaking and gaining confidence, and learning, you know, how to deal with these cognitive dissonance, or ridiculous arguments, the bingo card arguments, so to say. So
Yeah. I love those
that's
bingo card arguments though, because it's the same thing over and over again, and that's how you practice. And I think a lot of vegans, for me, I was like, I've only been vegan a year. I don't know how do I know what to say? And I've got no right to speak to people and blah, blah, blah. And then you stand there and you think, "Do you know what? I've answered these arguments from my family and friends before. I know these. And next time you go, it's the same questions. And you get to like fine art your answers and what to come back with. And they'll be slightly different depending on who you're outreaching to. It might be someone who's really friendly, it might be a bunch of teenagers, it might be an older couple, and you learn to kind of know what answer to give them for the same question as well. Does that make sense? Am I
no, that's absolutely it. And it's like you have this so sort of online community, or plethora of knowledge that you can just tap into with people that have done this outreach. They're filming it, they're showing it. And so yeah, I mean, it's kind of pretty easy if you start it in a certain way. Like I know, like with AV and We the Free, stuff like that, like my confidence has grown so much. But it's easy when somebody's looking at this footage for the first time, and you go in it with like a Socratic method. You arm yourself with knowing how to just even ask the first few questions. Usually it's just a conversation, and people are generally respectful, and they're just curious. They want to know, because they've taken that 10, 20, 30 seconds, and they're taking a look. And yeah, it's you, once you do it often enough, you're going to start to see there's a pattern with similar thoughts and questions and stuff like that. So
I always say inquisitive people tend to be more open-minded. So the people that are stopping and looking are the ones that want to know more about it. And they
yeah,
will ask
definitely.
questions. And I want to come back to something you said earlier about the community welcoming you in, even though you'd been worked in a slaughterhouse before. How great is that activist community? Like, I can't explain how much I love and care for these people that I have found in the last 3 years since I've been active.
Well, in a way, I'm disappointed because it took me, 40, almost 40 years to find my tribe. But somehow I think it was meant to be that way. And so I've never felt more welcome and embraced by these amazing people everywhere. It's like we're on the same level or frequency. And it doesn't matter if you're from Canada, England, Australia, any part of the world. We all have that same sort of drive to make it better for all earthlings, and yeah, I can't, it's beyond words to explain how you feel, because it's like, boom, like this is it, my community's right here. I don't have to go look for anything else. It's all right here. And veganism is like the baseline of where everything starts, and you sort of just start to peel back layers of what other exploitation you could potentially not take part in. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's such an embracing and also like knowledgeable community that can help you be the best version of yourself. And it's
Agreed. I was
incredible.
going to say we learn from each other and we support each other. And I'm meeting up with an activist friend. I haven't seen her for a little while, and I'm meeting up with her on Sunday. We're going for a walk on the beach with a dog, and I can't wait. And we just connect ideas. And a lot of the bite-sized activism ideas I've had have been given to me by friends. They said, "Oh, I've done this." I'm like, "Brilliant! Can I make a video on it?" And they're like, "Yeah, great." And it's just helping each other out all the time. And again, I was 40 when I went vegan, so it's taken me the same time to find my nothing wrong with my other friends. I love any of everyone's watching. Like I still love you guys. You're amazing. But I was in a new city and I didn't know many people, and I was feeling really lonely. And then I went to a Cuba Truth, and it's like, wow, my world just like opened up completely. It's mental. And you do one of activism event, and then you go find another one, and then you find another one, and you just meet so many different people. I find that anyway. I don't know about yourself.
Oh yeah, totally. So it translated to one event. I think there was a week where I did 13 events in 7 days or something like that. So
Wow.
it was yeah, and maybe that's probably not the right way to do things. I'm just saying, like, I maybe had done that because I was upset, or maybe I felt I needed to do more than I should and I wasn't taking care of myself. But it does open up that door, and it does you do run into all sorts of different types of events and different types of people who are interested in different types of things, like this whole food community, and this whole like community that likes to do chalk, for example, or they like to do different types of activism. It's really cool. It's neat, and it feels fresh all the time. Yeah.
And coming on to that, like you saying you did 13 events in a week, how do you take time out? Because I think it's so important to look after yourself. Otherwise, you hear about so many activists getting burnout. I've heard about another one today that's got burnout and stopped being active for the animals. And that's so sad because they were an amazing animal rights activist. But we have to take time for ourselves. So myself, I go down to an animal sanctuary and I help build things and I feed the animals, and that's what I do, and I meditate. What about you? What do you do?
Yeah, so back to what you were saying. So I was doing those type of events all the time, and I was going to bear witness several times a week. Maybe it was some sort of way for me to make up where I used to work and stuff. So what I found was I was getting angry. Probably not because of the like because I went to these places. If I had done that like maybe once in a while, maybe I would be more level-headed and more in line with how I should be. But I was going too often. I was pushing myself way too often. I was angry. I was not being relatable to people, and so I wasn't taking care of myself, like you said. And so I've had a lot of heart-to-hearts. And again, we go back to the community. This community spoke with me. They talked with me. They explained, that maybe I was doing this too much at the detriment of my own self. And so yeah, now it's the things I do are, I don't go bear witness currently. I'm not saying I've closed that door, but I feel like I'm more effective doing some other things. And maybe there's a bit of me getting upset if I do go. Obviously, it's a difficult thing for some people, but like my desire to be there for the animals hasn't changed. And so again, I could see where people might burn out, and no, like that's not what we want. And I think when you're in that mode, and it starts to become more about you, and it becomes more about your own focus, and maybe a bit of your ego and your anger and stuff like that. And that's not really helping anybody. I don't think that would help yourself, the animals. So it's always good to self-reflect. And that's sort of what I do. Is I'll take time now, like for example this weekend I'm not doing any activism. I'm going to be hanging out with some companion animals, and it's going to be great. We're going to have an awesome time. We're going to watch a few movies if that's what they want to do. And, we're just going to chill. And so that's important. That's a one sort of thing I do. And there's other things I do too as well. Like for my own past and history, like I do see a therapist, and they've helped me sort of align things or frame things, sorry, in the way I see it. And before I used to, be cut off from society and cut off quite a bit. And I didn't share my emotions or express how I felt and shared some of my stories. But now I do that a little bit more often. And I think it's really helped me. Yeah.
That's good. It's really positive to hear, because I think a lot of people like just want to, you want to save every animal, and you never, no active vegan feels like they're doing enough. They never feel like they're doing enough. But if there were more of us being active, we would be doing enough. And this is, why I started my channel, and I want to get more vegans active and inspire them. But there are different ways. So for you, it's chilling and watching a movie. For me, it might be going for a walk, or, meditating. I do like to do that as well. But I also think vigils are really important. And I haven't been to one for a while, but I had a similar experience to you. Last year in lockdown, I was on furlough from work, and lockdown had been lifted. So I was going to vigils, and I was going to like 4 vigils a week. And it was too much. It was just too much. I definitely got burnout, and I got asked to be organized. I was like, do you know what? I can't. I'm going back to work soon, and I've got AV to run, and I've got my YouTube channel to run. It will just be I recognized that I was getting overloaded, and I had to step back a little bit. And I don't think I've been to a vigil since last summer. So I think it's been over a year since I've been to one. I
Yeah, and
definitely.
that's, I mean, you're doing everything you're within your power to do. You're doing as much as possible, if not more, right? And so and that's it. We're here to strategizing on how to get more people active and staying active, and maybe reducing the burden on some activists who are just doing everything all the time. I'm actually a believer of, like, if we had some paid activists that we could do all the time, but I know some people have some different opinions about that.
No, I
Because
agree. I think paid activism, like George Martin did a great rebuttal. So Roger Yates did a video on why, and when this whole thing kicked off last year with AV and Ada were getting paid and Joey getting paid, Roger Yates did a video on it, and then George Martin did a rebuttal, and it was just perfect. It was brilliant. I'll pop a link to that here as well. But I think we should, if we can get paid to be, if I could be paid to be an animal rights activist, I'd be doing it all the time. I've got a talk next week at Bristol Uni, which I'm really excited about doing. I'm so honored to have been asked to do that. It's really nice. But if I could do that full time and go and talk to vegans all over the country at universities and inspire them to get active, then yeah, give me the money.
Absolutely.
I'll do
We
it.
we would be able to change the world essentially. And I know there's a lot of people that can't be active for various reasons. And you know, they do have funds. They do are able to help out. And I'm not pleading that we must do this, but I think it's important that if you do have that philosophical belief and you do have desire to make change, sometimes that's the only way you can do it. And it doesn't have to be, you know, me, it doesn't have to be, but it can be anyone. Like if you see a certain person online and they're out there during the day all the time and you see their work ethic and stuff like that, support them. Maybe not financially if you can, but like
Share their
support,
content. Just,
share their content,
yeah.
boost them up, because it does make a difference. It totally makes a difference. That's one thing I've noticed about myself is I've been like, I get to these smaller YouTube channels or smaller, you know, just starting out activists. And I think that's it. We build them up to try to give them the tools to elevate themselves, to get bigger and change the world because we see the value in them. Can you imagine if they were able to do this, you know, and not have to worry about, you know, time constraints or something like that? And I think it would just change the world. And even if you're not into veganism, I think if you were able to allow these people to change the world, there's so many other aspects we could change the world in, because we just all want the best for the earth, the inhabitants, all of us, you know.
Yeah.
So that's my case for it, but I'm sure
And what,
George did a great job. I'm gonna have to watch that. I
yeah,
didn't see.
definitely watch it. I'll send you a link after this. It's really, really good. What's
Cool.
your favorite form of activism? What suits you best?
Yeah, well, I'm starting to enjoy being on video and talking a bit. But I do like street outreach. There's nothing more rewarding to me than speaking to someone who's potentially seeing this for the first time, and actually it shifts the way they think about things, and seeing them change and arming them with information. Those conversations are priceless. I reflect back to them all the time, and it fuels me to keep doing these events. It's given me so much confidence. I'm able to actually have a conversation, whereas maybe before I wasn't able to. And this helps me in other aspects of life. You know, I've always been pretty outgoing, but to be able to sit there and have a conversation with some structure, it's really helped me with my overall existence on this planet. So street outreach is it's a lot of fun. You're around your community. I enjoy it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's my favorite as well. Definitely 100%. I love being out there. I really look forward to events. I really look forward to speaking to the public. And when you speak to them and you can see the light change in their eyes when they get it, you see that moment when they get it. And that's so rewarding. I mean, for me at the moment, mainly when I'm doing street activism, I'm filming other people's outreach, which is fine because I'm helping to get it out there. But I'm trying to cut that back now. So it's like for half the event I'll film and the other half I'm going to be doing outreach because I kind of miss it. But no one else seems to be able to work the camera. So whenever they film me, it's always like tilted like that or something.
These are the things we have to worry about. And it sucks because how many great conversations have you had that haven't been filmed or recorded, you know?
I actually had a great one in Bath a few
Oh,
weeks ago with two young guys, and they were like they were in their 20s and they were all ego and yeah, but bacon though. And by the end of it, they were like, oh no, actually you make sense. So I turned around to the guy who had the camera and I was like, and he wasn't filming, he was in the he was doing outreach. I was like, oh my God, that was like perfect. It was perfect. But yeah, no, it's fine. It's not a problem. The important thing is speaking to people. So, and getting other people's activism out there. My channel's not about me, it's about you guys. It's about talking about you guys and lifting you guys up, because there's not enough of that at the moment. And I think that is one of the main reasons it puts people off of activism. I think that's what it is. So that's why I want to boost and lift, and forget about me. It's all about you.
Yeah, if you think about it, like we were saying, you gain confidence, you have a community, all these things, and there is a roadmap. You come to your channel, there's a roadmap on how to do this, and once you gain the confidence and you learn what you enjoy and what you can be great at, who knows who you could inspire. You could inspire the next, big time activist that could reach thousands, maybe millions of people. So it always just takes one spark for somebody else to learn about it, and you could be part of that. So what's greater than that,
And how did you find out about your events, the Cuba Truth and the Vigils? How did you go about finding out how to get involved?
That's a great question. I think I might have just went on YouTube and searched veganism, and I think it was like seeing if I could live or eat vegan and survive and not die, because I had these stereotypes. So at some point, I don't even know where I started. I That's a great question. I'm at a loss for words. I can't even. It
But
must have been.
the reason I ask is when I started my channel, I did loads of questions on local vegan groups, and I said, "What's stopping you from being an advocate for the animals?" And one of the main points was, "I don't know how to get involved." And I thought, well, you're on a vegan page, so for me, I like messaged on there, "When's the next event? Like, does anyone know of any activism events going on?" That's all I did. But yeah, I don't know. What about you?
Well, no, actually, now that I think about it, I was on this vegan society page on Facebook, and there was an event posted, and I saw it was a vigil, and I saw the truck, and I obviously recognized the truck because of where I worked. And so that's sort of like how I got a little intrigued with it. And then as I went there, maybe it was, some of the advocates there that activists there that I talked to that said, you should check out this, or, we're doing another event here, or they do other events here.
Well,
I was invited.
like I said
Yeah.
earlier, like you go to one event and then you find out about the other ones. But I think it's just that first event is the stepping stone.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Sorry, I interrupted you then. You said you were invited to something.
Yeah, no, I was invited. I was then invited to like a potluck, and I was then invited to it was like this end speciesism secret group meeting or something like that to come up with strategies. And then I was invited out to a university to go talk to students and stuff. So all those little things started to spawn out. And then I think that's when I found out about other street activism, which was AV, and that sort of brought me into like the full AR, movement, I guess you could say.
And how do you fit it into your life, your day-to-day life with relationships and your job and family? How do you fit activism around all of that?
Yeah, so I think activism is my driving, but like I'm pretty much doing activism way more than I probably should be, and I don't necessarily practice what I preach when it comes to taking time. But so yeah, I mean, I will definitely be tuning into activism, helping others grow their channels and stuff, liking posts, commenting, and I'll do that sort of during the week. And then we do have events usually during the week as well. So we'll do some chalktivism. We have a local zoo here that I can't believe there's a zoo here, but we go there. We just started an event. So that's like 2 events during the week. And then like, for example, last night I was in a Zoom call with 7 or 8 other activists, and we're formulating an idea on what we want to do for disruptions as well. So I don't think that stops. I think it's plugging in the family time and plugging
Yeah,
in the
it's more fitting your family around your activism, not fitting your
yeah
activism around your family. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's more of that for sure, definitely.
Just finding the time to do whatever you can when you can. But it's important to take care of yourself as well. So please make sure you do that, because you're a great activist and I'd hate for you to get burnt out.
Yeah,
Hate it.
I
It'd be a
will,
massive loss to the animals.
I will never go away for the animals. That's impossible. You could do whatever you wanted to me, but I'll never stop. There's no chance on that.
And what does it mean to you to be an animal rights activist?
Well, I've heard a lot of different people say what it means to them. For me, it's just I'm an extension of, what's going on to these beings. I'm just like another vessel that translates and tries to help people understand what's going on. It means the world to me because I've witnessed it firsthand. I've seen what happens in all different types of food animal type the industry. And yeah, it's when I hear this question and I'm asked this question often, I just definitely I flash back to where I worked and seeing violence and torture and suffering and the madness that is animal agriculture. And I try to with the Socratic approach tackle that. Doesn't necessarily happen all the time, but to me there's no other there's nothing else in my life that I'd rather be doing than fighting for those who can't fight for themselves. So
Agreed. I feel
that's,
like I found my calling. I know that sounds weird, but I really
yeah.
do feel like I found my calling in life, something I'm meant to be doing.
Yeah, same
Um,
here. I would say
yeah.
the exact same thing. Yeah.
And like you said earlier about making up for the time, I also like went vegan at 40. So for me, I feel like I'm making up for 40 years of the abuse that I paid for. And I've got to be active now. I've got a duty of care.
Yeah, it's like atoning for, what you're a
Yes.
part of, and trying to as quickly as possible change things in the hearts and minds of people for sure.
Agreed. And what would you say? I asked this backfired on my interview that came out a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you saw it, but what would you say to non-active vegans that are out there that think that just being vegan is enough and they don't need to do any stickering, leafleting, and they don't need to do anything? What would you say to encourage them and inspire them to get active?
Yeah, so I think it's arming yourself with the realities of what's going on. It's very easy just to go by your day to day and not be active. It's very easy to do those things, but if you saw what I saw, and if you know that there's a victim that's trapped and needs help, and you're the one who can help them, I think it's just an obligation at some point. If we know what's going on, if we want a world that's vegan, we we could essentially, if people who are vegan or plant-based were active, they could change the world. You can change the world. You have the power within you to change the world. And it's a lot easier than what people think it might be. And there's no better calling. We were just saying that. And if you know there's an injustice going on, it's, you're kind of just going like this as well. There's people that are participating in this. And how do you think we can live in a better society if we know something's going on and we're not speaking out against it? You gain confidence when you speak out against it. You get grounded in your own moral and philosophical beliefs with this. So I think it's important that people not turn a blind eye to what's going on. You can't. And I would invite you, if you're not active, if you're on the fence, watch a speech like, watch Earthling Ed's speeches, watch Amy Serrano's speeches. They will captivate you, and it will help you reflect on your own values and show that you need to speak out, because these poor beings don't have anybody else to speak out. And it takes its toll on people that are trying to do their very best to ignite this movement. And when we know we could have dozens of people, hundreds of people, thousands of people out at some of these events, we know that it's possible. We know that you can make it happen. So please, please, please stand up for the victims.
Agreed. Everything that you said, 100%. I couldn't have put it better myself. Um, we need more people like that. I'm gonna have to get this Amy on. I'm gonna have to interview her. Can you put me in touch with her? Do you know
Yeah,
her?
I know. Well, actually, funny thing is, due to this action here, I'm not able to be in contact with
Oh, of
Amy or
course,
Nick.
yeah.
So maybe I can give you their contact information. I don't know if I'm even able to do that, but we'll
Don't
talk
worry. I don't want to get
afterwards.
you in trouble. I'll look myself. Definitely wouldn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't suppose you can talk much about what happened. Can you? Are you allowed to talk about that on camera, or
I'm free to talk about what happened for sure.
if you've got time, just quickly talk
Yeah,
about your Meet the Victims. So anyone that
yeah,
doesn't know about the ag-gag law that's just been passed in Canada, stopping people going to vigils, stopping people going to farms and filming anything to do with animal agriculture.
yeah.
And
So
yeah, go
yeah,
on.
so that's Bill 156. And so this was a law passed in Ontario, Canada, a little over a year ago. And it was passed actually the day before Regan Russell was killed. So this law is a law that was presented by stakeholders who are animal agriculture stakeholders. And so what the ultimate I guess what you would say what the bill, the so-called meat of the bill is not allowing whistleblowing. And so any functioning democracy in Canada or even in other parts of the world, probably the UK and Australia and other places, they allow for whistleblowing. It's part of a healthy democracy where this bill is saying that if you even if you worked in this industry and you saw something that happens, if you report it, you could be subjugated to a $15,000 fine. And like if you look at other laws, like say grand theft auto, I don't even know if you'd be charged that much for that. Like this is simply just for showcasing what happens in this awful industry. It's putting a mirror to what happens in our food system. So I don't understand why people would be so
Well,
concerned about
if
it.
there's nothing bad going on, why are they stopping people from showing? What have they got to
Right,
hide?
right. So in fact, there was a lot of things. So hybrid genetics, they are responsible for 60% of the global market on turkeys. And so here, just a week prior to Thanksgiving in Canada, we call it Thanksgiving in some spots because the amount of turkeys that are getting killed is unimaginable. And they're beautiful, incredible sentient beings. And so the idea was to showcase what's happening in this industry and meet the victims. It's a global thing, and they've already done one in Canada. We were the second one that was going to happen. And so 200 activists, around 200 activists, had planned on going to this place and exposing it. So in the midst of all that, there were some activists that were arrested, myself included, even before we left our own homes, just as we got into our cars. And so my thinking is that the government did not want to charge us under Bill 156, because if you can imagine 200 activists or 50 activists or however many activists going onto this farm showcasing what's going on, something that's within our fundamental freedoms and rights and of expression here in Canada. If you can imagine that, you have 100 people charge $15,000, I think it would make the government of Canada look ridiculous. So I think they were monitoring us. I think it was very sneaky how they came up to my car. I had just turned on my car. On Jen's side, we had somebody opening the door there. On my side, we had somebody pulling me down, telling me to get to the ground, as if we're not peaceful activists and that they couldn't have just said, hey, by the way, we're the police, just so you know you're under arrest. And it's not like I'm going to go anywhere at that point, but it was very sneaky. So that's sort of how things went down. We had a pre-meet. learned about nonviolent training. We learned just how to be in the moment and how things might be. And guess what? Like, it hit the news, all these articles all over Canada. So I think the message got through. And I was speaking to a PhD student, and they said, yeah, oftentimes when these things don't go 100% as planned, it actually works out somewhat better. So the 6 of us, we have a court date in November, and it's with intent. So I didn't realize that the thought police were here, but it seems like animal agriculture has something very secretive to hide. And if you can imagine the resources, we're doing an access to information, I believe. 26 officers were at this location. I think 10 were at the back of the location or something like that. And they had pockets of squads all over Ontario. And Ontario is massive, it's really big. And just to thwart this or stop this, this was a Sunday, they would be getting paid double time. And this is our taxpayer dollars just for merely showcasing what happens in this industry.
It's
So
ridiculous, isn't it? It's
yeah.
it just goes to show that they've got something to hide. I mean, it rings bells for me with regards to what's happening in the UK at the moment with Camp Beagle. It's the same. They've got ridiculous. They had 9 activists there the other week, 9 on site, and they were taking the dogs out. These are puppies. If anyone doesn't know, this is a puppy farm where they breed puppies and they get sent for animal testing. And it's animal testing, like testing bleach and things. And they train the puppies to put their paw out so they can inject them and do horrendous things to them. But they had 4 police vans turn up. And I think there was something stupid like 50 police officers there for 9 activists. And you're protecting a puppy farm, you're protecting people that are shuffling dogs out to be. I just don't understand how they can.
Yeah, it's really insane. It's like, I thought the police are there to protect the best interest of the public. That was my job as an inspector, being paid taxpayers' money, and my job was try to protect the best interests of the public. So are we protecting businesses, multi-conglomerate businesses that do these types of testing and abuse to these animals? Like I did an interview with a dog named Hero and her companion person, and like I heard about what was happening with beagles and how they're being tested on and how they're being treated. And the reason why they use beagles is because they're so docile. And it's just, to me, I can't fathom that a bar of soap or some sort of bleach or some sort of cosmetic is worth the pain and suffering of these beautiful, awesome individuals. Like, and yet the police are going to come in and take away fundamental freedoms of being able to be at these places and protest. It's unfathomable. What era are we living in? Are we going backwards as a society? How do we, with all the knowledge and the past history, how are we going back and going backwards? It just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. I think it's horrendous what has happened in Canada at the moment with this bill that's been passed. I think it's something I would expect to happen in the States, but not in Canada. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just thought that it was a lot more open, but obviously not.
Honestly, I'm of the similar opinion. I'm shocked that it's happened here. I can't believe that these people are able to influence government the way they have. The agriculture minister here used to be a dairy farmer, and his nephew is actually his critic. So it just goes to show like how deep the ties are with this industry and the connection that they have with our provincial authorities. And I'm sure it's a global thing. So as citizens, as people trying to form our democracy and trying to stay within those things, we need to challenge these things, because there's always going to be overstepping with government. It's just that people need to resist that and fight back. So like, for example, like this bill, like even though we knew, or we potentially knew, that we faced some obstacles, we're still going to tell the world what's going on in this industry. It's not going to deter us. If anything, it's going to only embolden us and light a fire under us to do more, to get that message out more. I think they thought that this might thwart our ambitions to be able to do this, but it won't. You
Yeah, I
know,
was gonna say, I think maybe they were scared. Maybe they're worried. Things that,
I think
I
so.
feel like, I mean, I've only been vegan for 4 years, but I feel like the change in the last 4 years has been dramatic. How it is for people. I've got friends that have been vegan for 30, 40 years. And you know, the change between then and now, I feel like social media's had a massive play in that. YouTube's had a massive play in that, getting things out there, and people are on their phones all the time, or on their laptops or tablets, and watching and getting information. And I think the animal agriculture, I think they're shitting themselves. I really do.
They quite literally are. They definitely are. And you can see that even with labeling requirements and stuff like that, how they're worried that, you know, if you're going to say plant milk, that it might offend them or affect them. And we know that they're heavily subsidized, and people are just starting to become aware of this. And they're knowing that their taxpayers' dollars are going to unhealthy products. And yeah, it's just only a matter of time. And back to like our goals, like you know, legality doesn't necessarily mean it's moral. And so we need to remember that and keep that within inside of us. And we'll continue to fight and see this shift that's happening. It's global. This isn't going away. It's going to get there. It's just when. And
Yeah.
it's when is when we have people activating and getting active on the streets and making that change. Like I for myself, like I wouldn't say I'm your prototypical YouTuber or whatever, but I'm getting out there. I'm pushing myself out there. I'll be uncomfortable, big deal, you know. And I think there's many people that are elegant. They're so quick-witted. They can speak, and they should use that as a fuel to fight for this and make this change happen. Like you were saying, the last 4 years, I remember 7 years ago going, I have no idea what I'm going to eat, to now it's like, okay, like I have to eat whole foods, plant-based, because there's too many goodies out there, you know.
There's
So
too many. Like, we're
yeah.
actually going to the cinema on Sunday night, and this is going to piss people off if they're watching it. We're going to cinema to see June, and there's the vegan McDonald's. And I said to my husband, "Can we go?" I never ate McDonald's when I was, well, I think I had it when I was really young, when I was a teenager, but I haven't
Yeah,
eaten it
yeah.
for years. It's like, I have to have it. I want to try it. I want to support it. Um, so I'm going to have that. But also, what I was going to say something that, like, all vegans want a vegan world. Yeah. We all want animal liberation, but we can't just rely on the few of us, the 1% that are active out there. We need everyone to do it. And like David said, just find your strength and use that. Whether you're an artist like the lady who made the jackets and auctioned them off the other week, or whether you can bring people together and set up events like David and do that, or and if you're not able to get out of the house and you're good with admin, we always need people that can do stuff online for us and help us out with writing posts or writing blogs, or doing some editing or anything.
Yeah, definitely all the above. I'm not a great editor of things. I have a plethora of like videos, but it's just hard to, because you know that you could probably spend time being out on the streets, being active, or you could spend hours doing editing on videos. It's a tough balance for
It is
sure.
hours as well. It is hours. Like, I
Yeah.
do my editing when my husband's cooking the dinner. So I get like about an hour and a half on his computer, and then I just edit. If they're like little 4-minute videos, then I can knock a few of those out in an hour and a half. But something like this, it will probably take me like 3 hours to edit it. But it's worth it to get the story out, and hopefully, someone will get active because of you, because you are an inspiration. And I'm so glad that I've got to actually talk to you on Grumpy's channel the other week and spend time on my own with you today. It's been really lovely talking to you. You've actually put a
Yeah.
fire in my belly.
Oh, Rebecca, like I see what you do. I know how busy you are. Like you're just so active there, and it just inspires me to be active. So it's more about you than myself. Seriously, like I love the videos. I love how you've mapped it out for people and made it so not scary. Like you're so relatable and kind, and it's a pleasure being on here with you. And I know we've been meaning to, and we've done it. So
We've done
that's
it now, yeah.
awesome.
It's good. And
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for being so kind. That's really, really nice to hear that from you, because I respect you as an activist. You do way more than I do. So you do
Oh,
way
I
more than a
think
lot of people.
no way.
Like
I
we're blowing
believe,
smoke up each other's asses
yeah,
now.
that's what we're doing at this point.
But yeah, no, thanks again for coming on. And hopefully people can reach out to you if I pop your Instagram account on the description. Is that okay to contact you if they want to get involved in
Yeah.
activism in the area?
Yeah, so I have a link tree in my Instagram uh, uh, description or bio there.
Yeah.
So it links to a lot of the different things that I'm involved in, or some of the needs I might have. So we have Meet the Victims fundraising in order to pay for some of our legal fees. That's going to be quite expensive. Um, Also just working on a number of campaigns. So if it's not We the Free, Anonymous for the Voiceless, other street outreach, as well as like the plant-based treaty. We're trying to get people plantbasedtreaty.org. See it, you can see how you can help there. Also, I started a small Starbucks campaign. It's Starbucks Pressure Campaign on Facebook. So we're asking Kevin Johnson, the CEO of Starbucks, to put pen to paper when they're going to be entirely vegan. I feel like they already have the information on their website, so feel free to check that out. It's basically giving a letter to employees and sparking a conversation. So there's
And that's a really easy form of armchair activism. You just literally click your button on your keypad, done.
literally these are simple, easy, effective ways to learn and get going on the activism side of things. So there's also, I wanted to mention, a Brave New Life project, or a Brave New Life project. So they're helping transition slaughterhouse workers into different jobs. So it's a charitable organization. I think they're just getting their feet grounded and learning how to do that. So I do like to plug them once in a while. And yeah, so I'm also on Patreon. If anybody cares to, help me out, pay for the gas or something like that. But yeah, otherwise, reach out to me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way. And I'm on Facebook as David Magina. I'm also on TikTok and YouTube as well. So
Cool. Yeah, I'll put all those links in the description. And thanks again for coming on. And yeah, really enjoyed talking to you. I'm scared I haven't got any activism now this weekend. I want to get out there and do something.
yeah, it's great talking to you, Rebecca. Thank you so much for having me on, and thanks for everything you do.
And you. And you.
I hope you enjoyed that. I really enjoyed speaking to David, and I'm so glad to have finally got to speak to him on Grumpy Vegan Grandad's channel the other week, the other month now, probably when you're viewing this. Don't forget to check out Doreen's video, the Vegan Poet. She does an interview with David and talks about his job and what he did in the slaughterhouse and why he's gone vegan and all the other amazing jobs that he's doing. He really is an inspiration, and he's lit a fire in my belly. Like, I really enjoyed talking to him. There's just some people that give you that, they just give you that energy and that vibe, and I would love to go to Canada and work with him one day. It really would be an honour to stand by his side. So if you have enjoyed that and you have been inspired, drop a comment below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like and share this video. If you want to support me in making more content, then check out my Patreon page below. There's also a link to David's as well, so you can support him. And yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.